Well, it's an incredibly powerful evening. When you see a community come together like this, not only the mothers and the fathers, but the kids as well, the youth of the community, combination doing the same thing, making their communities safer, making them cleaner, really joining together. It's a real strength. There's a real power here. I think that you don't find often. In even communities are well organized. There's something special here. Well, I think there's a real model here that could be replicated in other communities pretty easily. But we know there are parents in every community, and we know there are kids, and we know there are parents and kids that have time and want to be involved if they can just figure out how to do that. We also know that, from a government standpoint, there'll never be enough dollars, there'll never be enough paid people to do what a community could do for itself through volunteer efforts like those we see here. And so pulling together that combination of volunteers that can provide surveillance in a positive sense, just watching out for their neighbors, cleaning up the community. You just can't, you'd never have enough resource on the tax side to ever pay for that. And I think beyond just the service that provides, it is that sense of value of community that comes forth. When you're volunteering and doing this kind of work, there's a pride that comes out of that. And, you start looking after each other just like you're looking after the community. And so it becomes both the physical nature of the community gets better, but so does the psychological components of the community. And you realize the community cares about each other. And that's a pretty solid shield against some of the attacks on our values and attacks on our communities that's occurring in many places today. I mean, you know that you walk into Grants Pass, it's pretty evident we're going to take care of our kids, we're going to raise them right, and we don't want gangs, we don't want drugs and that sort of thing, and we're going to go so far as to volunteer ourselves full-time, in effect, because there's so many people involved to protect our community and our kids. Because you're going to spot them. You're going to spot them quickly, but beyond that, you're going to do something about it. And it doesn't mean that you take law into your own hands. What it means is, though, you're the eyes and ears for law, when then they can come and do their job. But they can't be everywhere all the time. And just knowing that there's sort of this community volunteer force out there is a huge deterrent. Because this isn't a flash in the pan. This isn't something somebody just dreamed up and now, it's lasted 2 months, 3 months. It's 12 years plus. And so the kinks have been worked out. The bugs have been worked out. The force has grown dramatically. The results are there. And I thought it was really powerful when law enforcement officials who were there in the beginning said, we were skeptical of what was going down here. And probably with good reason. You know what it was. Is this a vigilante force? Is this what is this? And now, in retirement, they're members of the organization. That's a heck of an endorsement. And an endorsement that can go forward into other communities to say, this has worked. And I'm skeptical too, I was in law enforcement, I was skeptical. Now I'm a board member. That's a powerful message for somebody to deliver. In fact, that's why I helped Bob Just get in to see Secretary Chertoff at Homeland Security. There's never going to be enough federal resource or even local to deal with potential disasters that come along. There's such an unmet need to safeguard our communities and our kids from those who want to do them harm, that I think this could easily be replicated nationwide. And it would have an enormous impact. Can you imagine if you had a concerned mothers and a concerned fathers in every community in America that was in ratio the same size as what's here in Grants Pass? I mean, it'd be an enormous impact.
Incredible. Yeah.
Positive impact. I'd say look at the model and how it's worked here. Evaluate it, and I think you'll find it's really positive and been very successful and becomes the cavalry that comes over the hill when you need help in a community. It really is that. Sometimes, I'm sure our law enforcement officials, overworked, understaffed, feel like there's nobody there to help them. They're kind of on their own. Sometimes on patrol, they're one-person cars, they're out there by themselves. And yet, here you'd have other people that are around, not to step in and be law enforcement, but boy, eyes and ears. And that's a pretty powerful deterrent for the criminals. They don't want to be caught. Well, in theory.
They're like bugs, they want to hide under rocks.
They want to hide somewhere. They don't want somebody. If somebody's watching them, you scare them off. You know, they go somewhere else. And so I think it's powerful. The concerned mothers, I think what's really impressive is their effectiveness. You know, when a mother's writing a store manager and saying, can you at least just put that magazine or that sports cup with the, you know, bathing beauty on it where my kid doesn't have to see it? And, you know, it causes a response because of the way they do it that has resulted in real change, not just here, but as we saw in the Fred Meyer example, across 160 some stores. But it started here with a few mothers saying, you could do this a little differently, and it wouldn't be as, yeah, and it wouldn't be as offensive. And that's what I think is powerful. It doesn't sound like it was done in a threatening, we're going to picket and boycott sort of way. It was done in a very constructive way that said, think about it. See if you can't change it. They thought about it. They changed it right away, and it caught on. So, you know, you talk about an approach that works, and works effectively and positively, and certainly they've done that. And with these kids doing what they're doing in the community, it's a cleaner community. It's a community people come into and go, somebody cares about this community. Something's different here. You know, there isn't trash in the streets there. You don't have all the, you know, like the broken window pane theory. You know, you got broken window here, there, pretty soon it's okay to break all the windows. You know, when they are the eyes and ears, that's a very strong, potent force in a community, I think. Because that's a group then you have the right peer pressure going. It says, no, we don't do that here. It's not cool to do that here. Although maybe you can't use cool anymore. That's probably not a word that's, is that okay? All right. But you know what I'm saying now, I mean, if all of a sudden you see kids and they'll model somebody they want to follow, and you just hope to God they're modeling somebody good. And the more kids that are doing good things in the community, the more opportunity for that type of modeling to occur. That's what we want as parents. I think what really struck me seeing the event tonight was just how there's a certain power here present that comes out when you see how people who are involved in concerned mothers, concerned fathers, concerned youth have found success. There's a real positive energy that develops. Success begets success. People say, you know, I tried it, it works. So once every 8 weeks I go out for 4 or 5 hours, and it actually worked well, and I get my buddies involved, and that's pretty contagious and pretty positive, and that's change, real change.